Welcome back, everybody, to Love of Pages. This is Elizabeth, and I'm joined by the lovely Jessica.
Hello.
And the fantastic Stephen.
I'm lovely, too.
Aw,
yes, he is. He's also lovely. But with her pretty bow on her headband, Jessica just looks super lovely today.
I didn't bring a bow. I messed up.
You did mess up. But you do have Power Rangers in the back, so, it's acceptable.
I try my best.
Yeah. So we are starting with Jessica's book, Hope Never Dies. And I love this cover. I do. I adore this cover.
Hope never dies.
So assuming that by the time this podcast goes out, we haven't devolved into Civil War / society is still somewhat standing. Joe Biden got sworn in this week, and so I thought it was as of publishing. He will get sworn in on publishing week.
Okay.
Listen, man, yesterday's events got me all mixed up.
So for those of you who don't realize, we record these several weeks ahead.
Yeah.
So we're still living through the insurrection.
Yeah, the world almost ended yesterday for the United States. So that was great. I won't comment too much, but I would like to appreciate my mother, who, when I called her on my way home from work, told me to not turn on NPR news if I wanted to be in a good mood today.
That's fair.
What?
Okay, so because, and this will be my only statement on, because I'm a politics nerd, I watch C-SPAN at the office. Like, that's what I have on in the back. I was watching the electoral vote counts.
Uh-huh.
And the objections in the House and in the Senate as this all started to go down. So I was literally just watching the live feed. And I was like, huh!
Like, oh God, like this is bad. Because what was the last thing that was said on the did they cut the live feed? And I think the last thing that was said was like, they're in the building or something like that. And I'm like, oh God, like that's horrifying.
Yeah. The last thing was the chamber will stand in recess.
Goodness.
And then they just like cut it. And I was like,
what?
What's going on?
Cliffhanger of the season. No, the only thing
I'm just typing away, researching, doing my thing, and then all of a sudden this goes off on my side screen, and I'm like, oh, okay.
No, I was playing stuff. I think it was the C-SPAN feed, whichever one it was that was live later on in the night, when the one very old man decided to challenge. Try to challenge the ex-linebacker to a fight. I was listening during that part, and I gotta say, C-SPAN did not have a good camera angle.
No, they don't always have the best camera angles, but the unfiltered reality of our governance makes for good TV. Like, I don't understand why we need talking heads, because you literally just have to watch it play out.
Yeah.
You just have to watch it play out.
Yeah.
So, but this is for an entirely different podcast.
Yeah, no. We'll stop talking about politics and then now talk about the adventures of Barack Obama and Joe Biden. Yeah. Okay.
So, Jessica, do you want to introduce us to this book?
I do, mainly because this was not the original book I had picked, because I very much last minute picked the last book that I was going to go for. But I haven't read this before. But Elizabeth has, and she's been wanting me to read it for forever, and I've been wanting to read it for forever, and, timing and all that with, him actually becoming president, the inauguration. There we go. That's the big word that I was looking for. But I was like, let's change it. Just randomly. Like, let's do this. I need a good, happy, easy read. Let's do the Barack Obama and Joe Biden buddy cop book.
Buddy Vigilante.
Buddy Vigilante. There you go. Yeah.
So for our readers, do not stress. This is not wrapped up in politics. Obviously, it is contemporaneous, at least as of its publication in 2016, I believe.
That makes sense.
2018. Sorry, 2018.
Oh.
Yeah. But it is just a fictional adventure of Barack Obama and Joe Biden solving a murder.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's so corny. I know Stephen is like having a potential meltdown down here. He's on the bottom half of my screen. Jessica and I are like giggling over this book. And Stephen's
it's hilarious.
Like, this is torture.
Again, you guys aren't doing the audiobook. I'm not trying to say that the person performing the audiobook is terrible or anything, but here, let's go ahead.
Voicemail, letting her know we needed to talk ASAP. Since it was past 9 o'clock, I wasn't sure if we would hear from her until morning.
That's the audiobook. That's
rough.
That's supposed to be Joe Biden.
That's rough, buddy. That's
makes my day. Makes my day.
Oh, that's bad. I'm sorry.
So that's the book we're starting this week. And Jessica very kindly caught something I did not in my read through of a reference to a virgin Pina Colada.
Yeah. So we did not do the virgin version.
We didn't do the virgin kind.
No.
But because I was actually really concerned because Joe Biden doesn't drink. So I was like, oh, are we going to find any references to cocktails that we can use in this book?
He said, I got to find it. It was at the beginning of one of the chapters. Oh, I know what chapter it was at the beginning of.
Was it?
Do I know what number it was? But it was when he went to the funeral. It was like the day after a thunderstorm and the balmy air made you want like a virgin pina colada. Something like the cheesy lines.
There's so
great.
There's
so many, and it's so great.
I think it's probably 8, 9, or 10.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I'll find it later. I don't have a ton of. Yeah.
One brightness to 10%.
What?
What? Brightness 10%.
Oh. Stephen's talking to his Google.
You guys weren't supposed to hear that.
But we did.
I'll have to cut that out.
Or you could just leave it in because we're entertaining. But yes, so
Yes.
This book opens with what I find to be probably the most it's hilarious because it's such an exaggeration of poor me, nobody likes me.
Yeah.
For so long, every single thing that gets said is an allusion to that. The fact that someone dies, he's like, yeah, you get old and people just stop caring and then you die.
I'm sorry, Joe. I'm so sorry. Who hurt you?
Barack hurt him by not wanting to be friends anymore.
He wanted to hang out with Bradley Cooper. I bet Bradley Cooper would know how to change a light bulb.
So it opens with Joe reading the newspaper about all the fun things Barack Obama's doing without him post administration. Mm-hmm. And then he hears something. And so he takes his dog Champ, which we now all know about and will be a first dog.
Yay!
Right? Is that their titles?
Yes, I think.
Major and Champ.
Commander and Champ.
Commander and Champ.
I like it. They need a third dog.
The modern Major General.
So he goes out to his backyard in Wilmington, Delaware, and Barack Obama is out smoking in the woods behind Joe Biden's house.
Marlboro Reds, which I did not know. I'm like, now I know Barack Obama's cigarette of choice.
And then, of course, what I found absolutely hilarious, I went for a handshake and Barack turned it into a fist bump. I've never figured out how to do those.
I do like how many times they have him so often say things like his in classic Joe Biden kind of like lingo, like he'll call someone corn pop kind of stuff, you know, things like that. They do that. That part is endearing.
Yeah,
It's all so cheesy. It's so cheesy, so corny. It's hilarious. So this is where we get into Barack tells him about Finn Donnelly's murder. And apparently Finn, or death.
Or death. It's death at first.
It's death. There's still currently debate about murder, not murder, suicide, accident. We're unsure. So, in any case, apparently Joe Biden is good friends with Finn Donnelly because Joe Biden loves all train conductors.
Yeah.
All Amtrak
Well,
train conductors.
he took the Amtrak from Delaware to Washington, D.C. like all the time when he was a senator and all that every day. And you get to know the people you see every day. And I'm like, I don't think I've ever talked to.
You mean you don't know all the random people that you don't work with but see on your commute every day?
No. Well, mainly because I commute by myself in a car, so that might help. But
you have to interact with people at a checkpoint to get into your work.
that is true. Don't ask me their names. I know their personalities. I know what they're going to say to me. But I know which one will actually ask me the COVID question and which ones will just wave me on through. Like,
No, I will say, like, I did become like pretty good friends with the lady who operated the front counter at the TV station, so I get it.
Yep.
And all she really did was like check people in, and you have to go to her sometimes if you need like a pin.
But yeah. So Joe knew Finn Donnelly, and Barack had decided to tell him about the death before he heard it from anybody else. And so we find out that he had been killed on the tracks because he was laying on the tracks.
Mm-hmm. Whether he was already dead or not, we don't know. Can't tell.
Don't know. Can't tell. And then it gets to the question of, okay, why are you involved, Barack? Why is the FBI involved in an accidental death on the Amtrak?
yeah.
So,
Well, Barack says to him that he had that there was more to the story.
yes.
Yes.
So he's like, well, there's some stuff. There's stuff. It's the highest levels of government. And Biden's like, you could have called.
Could have just called, not sneaked out of my house at night.
So Joe then starts doing the nosy neighbor. It's what I like to call this first round of investigating.
Yeah.
Just let me read the newspaper articles and talk to the family and be snoopy and nosy.
And then I know everybody, so
I just know everybody.
the Snoopy. Snoopy shirt.
But is it at this point that he tells him already? I listened to this recently.
Yeah.
But I feel like in the first wave of things, he tells him about the map to the house, right? That's why he went
Yes,
there.
the map to the house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he tells him that the guy, what's his name?
Finn Donnelly.
Finn.
Yeah, that Finn had a printed out map with the center point of it where the destination was would have been Joe Biden's house.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they've looked into it, and then Joe Biden asks him, like, well, do you think he's, like, into, like, any, like, bad stuff or whatever? And because of when this book was written, the biggest concern was, like, no, he's not part of, like, ISIL or anything, if that's what you're thinking. Like, that's what they choose to say in that moment.
Yeah, ISIL.
I mean, it was still 2018. It's fine.
Yeah.
I know. Right.
So
They
young.
hadn't reached 2020 yet.
That was a thing. That was where I went, like, oh yeah, I remember ISIL. Those are good times.
The threat was outside.
Yes. Yeah. So, that's right. That was the end of the conversation, because that was why Biden was like, well, why didn't you just call to tell me that he died? Like, you didn't need to creep around. And he's like, well, because he was found with a map to your house. So I felt like I should come check it out.
Yeah.
Oh, and at this point, did he tell him about the other things that were found on Finn? Or was that later?
No, that was later. That was
He
after the
finds
funeral.
out that, yeah. Which, it was chapter 6 that he does it. That it was like, it was baseball weather, a perfect day to sit by the lake and sip a virgin Pina Colada and really enjoy my semi-retirement. That was the line where I was like, Pina Colada, got it. Text you guys. We're making Pina Colada.
Done.
Done. Which I actually absolutely love the descriptions in this like that. It really is like listening to like an old noir detective film, like the descriptions of it. I was like, I'm really loving this so much.
Yep.
This is what I needed right now.
I'm like, this is the way my grandpa would describe things.
Yes.
Like, yes, we're gonna go sip on virgin pina colada. Oh, he'd be like, we're gonna go sip on beers and fire up the grill.
Yeah. No, but yeah, from this one, like we're basically reminded the entire time of just how friendly Joe Biden is. Like that's pretty much the whole thing. After he is vice president, before he's still a friendly guy, but that's very much the image they cultivated for him.
Yeah,
and that's fully in play when he goes around trying to use his now limited vice presidential resources and like group like the people that he knows and his acquaintances to help him look into this a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So that starts out. So after he does what he can, like on the computer and just through the newspaper, he ends up
with his friend
talking with his friend from the police department. I'm trying to find his name. Dan Caparati.
Yeah.
Who Biden knew from growing up together. Which I'm like, I'm kind of curious how small Wilmington is. And like, I know, Jessica, you and I discussed this on our United States of Women podcast when we did Delaware, but like, this feels very small town to me. Like, oh yeah.
Everything about Delaware felt like very small town stuff.
Like, I'm like, yes, no, that could definitely be like the three of us growing up in a small town. Like, all the time you run into people and you're like, oh yeah, you're so-and-so. Yeah. Like, had that happen to me this week. And I was like, oh, I don't recognize you. When did we go to school together? Oh, 5th grade. I'm like, yeah, no, you don't look
anything
you look
like
nothing like you looked in 5th grade. I'm pretty positive.
I'm in the opposite boat where I remember everyone from when I was younger way better. Anyone in high school, I'm like, I know your face, but did we have art class together?
Yeah, that's me. Everything jumbles up. Was it college? Was it high school? I don't know. I know I saw your face. I think I might have sat next to you once.
Well, like, so in this instance, it was a guy. So I was like, yeah, you definitely didn't have a full beard in 5th grade. So I don't know what you look like.
That is fair.
I can't tell based off of just your eyes.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it's not how this works. So, but yeah, so Biden gets a call from Dan Caparati to meet because he wants to talk about the Finn Donnelly case.
Mm-hmm.
And so they meet at some place called Earl's Hash House.
Classic.
Which sounds perfect, actually.
Right. And so,
yeah.
At first Biden's like, oh, it's got to be about the map. And he's like, no, it's not about the map. shut up, sit down. Like, let me talk to you. Wait, why don't you have any Secret Service? Because I'm lowly vice president. I don't get Secret Service.
My 6 months are up.
So they go off into a corner booth and Biden orders ice cream.
Classic.
Because even at 70 years... Well, as we learned during the campaign, he has to have ice cream every night before going to bed. But that's okay.
I know. That's at the heart of everything about this book. Everything in this book is a tiny thing. Like, Jill liked this, and so she did this. Like, everything is listening to interviews and then just extrapolating stuff. It's basically like the Edgar Allan Poe movie from a few years back. Yeah. The whole thing.
So, but he basically tells Biden that they're pretty sure that Finn was high on heroin at the time of his death because they found a baggie of it in his pocket.
Which does not mean that you're high on heroin. Like, to be fair, it just means you have a baggie of heroin in your pocket that was not used or opened.
So, but and then he's like, well, Joe's like, no, there's no way he actually had heroin in his system. Like, the toxicology report's going to come back negative. And Dan's like, yeah, that's fine, but it's going to be 6 to 8 weeks.
It's like, that's not short enough time.
No, can you rush that? No, that is the rushing that. Like, this is how things work in the real world. This is not Law and Order, Joe.
We don't get this in 24 hours. We're not CSI. And then we get introduced to Lieutenant Esposito, who's rough around the edges, but in line for the chief's job.
Yeah. Woo.
Which just the descriptions make me giggle. It all makes me laugh.
Yeah, the also the fact that Dan was choosing to drink at this nice diner, I assume, just the worm dirt, which is coffee. And I was like, I hadn't heard coffee referenced as the worm dirt in so freaking long.
That implies that you have heard it before. I have never.
I have. I don't know where I have, because as soon as he said it, I was like, oh yeah, coffee. I don't know how I knew it. I don't know if it was something that, like,
honestly, it's probably something I would have said to you because I have definitely heard it a lot.
Yeah, probably.
That's so weird. I don't know. I try to connect it to other things besides just being like about it being dirty water, but that's it. I'm sure.
That's all you got.
Yeah. No, yeah, it could be because my grandfather was a cop. So, like, I did hang out with cops at diners before. Maybe they said it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. But I also particularly like the fact that he describes Dan as reminding people of Dirty Harry.
Yeah. I was like, oh, so he's a really bad cop. Like, that's not a good thing, Joe.
Joe, that's not helpful. So Dan then says, because Joe's like, oh, so I should direct all my questions to this Lieutenant Esposito. Dan's like, do not go anywhere near this. Don't you dare. I shouldn't be talking to you about this, but I know about the map. Figured you were concerned. We've been good friends for a long time. So, and that's, and so Joe's like trying to play the double agent and not tell Dan about the national security risk. And he's like, I do also personally like that he repeatedly references himself as, I have a tendency to be loose-lipped. And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, you do.
He's like Tom Holland with spoilers.
So, and then I think that's all.
Yeah, from here, I believe he decides to shortly after go to meet up with the Finn's wife.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he goes.
Right. Yeah, this is where he
had a stroke. Yeah.
So this is where he finds out about Finn's wife.
Mm-hmm.
Dan tells him about Finn's wife because Joe's like, "Hey, does the family know? like to give my condolences. And he's like, well, the daughter doesn't know yet, and the wife isn't capable of knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he finds out a little bit more, and they even talk about the fact that he wasn't staying at home, I believe, at this point.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was later on.
Okay.
It was later. He finds that out from the daughter, I think.
No, I found it out from Barack.
He finds it out from Barack. That's right. Towards the end of this section.
Yeah.
So Joe decides to go up to meet the wife, and
there's that Gideon Bible dude there.
Yes.
Which took me a second. I did not put that one together at first because I don't think of like the Gideons being tied to those, you know? Like it's not a thing that I think about for that. But it is 100% the reason those things are often there.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a suspicious man.
So there's a suspicious man who's, over by Darlene, who doesn't
she's like entirely gone as far as like what anyone else would recognize from her. She's catatonic, and she's been for some time.
Yeah. She had a severe stroke, I think is what her diagnosis was.
So, and the only name we get is Reggie.
Yeah. Because it's
Reggie
in the Bible? Was that how that one came up?
No, I think he says his name is Reggie.
Yeah, no, because Joe just says, it's Joe, by the way. And he replies, Reggie.
Nice to meet you, Joe, by the way. Dad joke. So the guy leaves his Bible behind, but then Joe decides, he's like, I need to get this Bible back to this man. So he goes back to the person at the front counter, and the person's like, there's no people here that like this description. And he goes to someone else trying to figure this out. The person says, no, there's no one by this name. And he like figures out like a whole personal story for the person, which feels like jumping a few steps ahead in this person's life. He's like, oh yeah, they're probably a junkie too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So, and then he goes to Finn's service.
Mm-hmm.
And there he of course knows the priest who's doing the service, Father O'Hara, because Biden knows everybody.
Yeah, and they were all younger when he knew them because they're all old now, as they remind us at every turn.
Yes, everybody's old. They barely know how to use cell phones, or they don't have cell phones, or they have landlines.
This book made me think about my knees.
I know. I was literally like, yep, that's going to be my knee in 20 years.
So, and then he meets Finn's daughter, and he talks with her. And they have a very heartfelt, he was proud of you. I was proud of him.
Yeah.
How could you be proud of us? You were vice president.
Mm-hmm.
Yada, yada, yada. But it's definitely an extrapolation from like other stories that people have shared in interviews.
Yeah.
So, and then he basically promises her that he will figure out what happened.
Thus setting off all of the rest of these events and keeping us on the path, even if you were thinking, no, he should probably let someone else take care of this. Joe made a promise, and a Biden never breaks a promise.
Nope.
So at that point, as he gets ready to leave, he comes across, or I guess Barack pulls up. Right?
No. Didn't he? No, he ran into the Amtrak guys.
That's right.
Yeah.
He ran into the Amtrak guys first.
Yeah, which I actually absolutely loved that part about the guy that actually ran over.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that was actually a really nice piece about, I can't remember. It's the other guy that says He wouldn't do that. He wouldn't kill himself that way because he would know what it would do to the engineer that hit him and killed him. Like, it just... And because it's true, and he makes a point, nobody thinks about what you're doing to somebody else when that's how you decide to kill yourself. You don't think it's going to utterly destroy that person's life. They're going to think, I could have stopped. I could have done this. I could have, kind of thing. So I really, that was like a surprise, not surprising, but it was like a nice piece inside of kind of a cheesy book to be like, oh yeah, I never would have thought about what that would do to a conductor of a train. Like, oh yeah, that's devastating.
I would think that you saying that was surprising to get in this book is exactly the right description. Because everything else I'm still on board for the book and everything, but I was not expecting a moment that was like, oh no, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty haunting. So he has the back and forth with them, and like, yeah, I don't care how depressed he was, and like, I get why people do it because, stepping in front of a train, lots of things seem final, but that's final.
Yeah.
Like, which they do go into later in more detail. They say it's offhand later, shortly after this. And I'll leave that to when we get there. But they say a particular few words that got me. Like, oh goodness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and it was heartbreaking to read about, Alvin, the conductor who hit him. So Biden rides with the guys and they drop Alvin off, and then they get to the Wilmington station.
Mm-hmm.
And because Biden wants to go look at the scene.
Yeah.
Where it happened. So, but Grant won't get out of the car with him.
Mm-hmm. One of the other drivers.
One of the other drivers.
Yeah,
yes.
one of the other drivers, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Grant and Alvin are the two train conductors.
Yeah.
Anyway. And so he goes over and trying to figure out where we're next.
Well, he goes and kind of like examines the whole area. Then that's where the part happens where they said that they retrieved his body from the places where it had happened, basically. And I was just like, Jesus.
Yeah. That's how it would be.
Yeah. There were like 4 parts in this book where they say small bits of information. Where I was like, oh, okay, you didn't need to say those parts. They mentioned Joe Biden having like an enlarged prostate at one point. They have a part where he talks to Barack Obama and he says something about like if we go swinging our dicks around, and then that part where he says that like a person who throws themselves in front of a train or is hit by a train is no longer one meat unit, basically.
Yeah, one meat unit. Yeah, pretty much. There's a lot of small little jabs there where you're like, oh, okay.
Like, oh, damn.
Yeah. So he doesn't get a ton from the tracks, as I recall.
Mm-hmm.
No.
He mostly spends his time down there going, what would, Barack think of me? What would Finn think of me just rolling around here?
Yeah.
What would my dad think of me?
Are you doing this for Finn or are you doing it for yourself? And I'm like, ooh.
Damn.
Yeah.
Both.
And then we find out that the Wilmington station is actually named after Biden, which he's not proud of, but proud of. It's like this weird. Sorry, my earrings were.
No, I do like that he points out, like, don't name something after somebody while they're still alive, because don't do that.
Yeah, you don't do that. You don't know what they're gonna do in the next 5 years, and you're gonna be like, gotta scratch that name off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has that and like a school or aquatic center named after him in his hometown or something like that.
Makes
too.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but he had wanted them to rename it after MLK or somebody else of the like.
Which I'm sure is another thing that he said in an interview before that they pulled.
Yeah, it really felt like, as he was a lifeguard at the pool at the aquatic center when he was growing up, and that's when he met like a couple of Black people that like asked him for like a thing of gas or something like that. So when they drove down south, they couldn't use gas stations, and that's what got him into the civil rights movement and stuff like that. So it definitely did feel like something straight out of an interview, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, that's cool.
I've learned a lot. Like, I would much more capably be able to like shoot the breeze about Joe Biden after this book. I'm certain.
Yes. So, and then he goes in and he like tries to look at the security tapes, and they're like, yeah, no. We don't have those anymore.
What's that? And Joe's like, darn government cutting corners. And I was like, yes, Joe. That's what they do.
So then he goes to the mayor of the train station, the shoe shine. What's his name? Greg McGovern.
Yeah.
Who immediately recognizes his voice and refers to him as Amtrak Joe.
That's Amtrak Joe, not VP
How's the
Joe.
missus? Yeah. And then he talks to him about it.
Yeah, they have a whole back and forth because I guess this guy he played cards with him, and he's like, no, like he wouldn't kill himself, but then he does climb up when Joe tries to push a little bit for information.
Yeah, he climbs up pretty fast. Like, if you didn't think something was fishy at all here, like that would have like, oh, it smells like fish.
Yeah. No, because he's like, no, I've never even seen him drink.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then why would he be carrying heroin? I don't know.
Yeah. But
that's weird.
When Joe can't get more out of him, he leaves him with like a card with his contact information. And I'm sure that's going to be very important later.
Yeah, definitely. Because Jill had them made for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then basically he's like, I play Gin Runny.
I know.
Gin Runny.
Yeah.
Gin Runny. Yeah. Which is also a game that I play sometimes, and it is one of the few long card games that I actually don't mind playing. So there you go.
This is the point, yeah. So then this was the point that he steps out of the train station, and a black Cadillac Escalade pulled up to the curb in front of me. The truck-sized SUV sat there idling. Was my ride early? If there was an Uber sign on the dash, I had no way of knowing. I couldn't see anything through the heavily tinted windows.
Yeah, I like
the description. We're like, oh my god, it's Obama.
Yeah, I like the description of this part. I feel like in the way that Wonder Woman has theme music in all of all the DC movies, like the every time she comes on screen, there would be something for Barack if this were a TV show or a movie or something. So like when he starts coming up, you hear like just like maybe like a beat or something that you just know is him every time.
Oh yeah.
So they then.
He's like Carmen Sandiego in this book.
Yeah. He is. So Joe gets in with his flowers, and Barack's like, I thought the funeral was earlier. It's like, well, I have a wife, and I like to bring her flowers.
So you buy her white lilies for the dead?
Like, those are funeral flowers.
I was trying so hard to not read it in his voice, and I did not succeed.
Nope.
Not as good as you are, though.
It was an interesting moment. Yeah, like they bring up a vehicle, which I don't know if this is a real thing or not. Whether he has anything that's even close to this. I would imagine it has to be in some way, shape, or form close to reality. Otherwise, they wouldn't bring it up. But it's going to be important as they go on later. He has this vehicle that's as close to the Secret Service vehicle kind of thing as he could get in the consumer market. He had like imported or whatever.
Yeah,
exactly. So, they then start talking about, the funeral and everything going on. And Barack isn't really saying much. He's like trying to give him hints. And he's like, and so he's like, well, we've been following you for your safety. Mm-hmm. And Joe's like, I'm not a child. Like, I am old. Well, or like, I keep seeing the picture in my head, like, I am old enough to be your father. Just get over it.
But I do want to be your friend. Please say sorry about not going skydiving with me.
I'm waiting for the part. You guys have both seen, I forget, was it Onward? Was the name of the movie? The Disney movie?
Yeah, the Onward, the movie with the troll kids. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm waiting for the part where the whole time Joe Biden is like, why won't you just be my friend? I miss being your best friend. And then like Biden or Obama will just say something like, why do you think I was following you, Joe? Like, I have so many other things to do, but I love you, buddy.
I love you, buddy. You're my friend. It just threw me back to Tropic Thunder, which is so not the right. You'll go friend. I need to watch that movie again. I love that movie.
Drink a booty sweat.
Yep. So anyway, so Barack's not like telling him anything, but telling him he needs to get private security. And Joe's like, what do you want me to do? Like, that's ridiculous. Like, stop being ridiculous. And finally, he just lashes out at him and says, like, go back to Cape Town and work on your tan. Like, just leave me alone.
Leave me alone. My knee hurts.
My knee hurts. I messed it up, and I'm an old man.
But another big part of it is like he doesn't want Jill to find out that Barack Obama's in town. Like, no, my wife can't know. She'll make us hang out. Like,
and I'm mad at you, so we can't be friends right now.
No.
So, in any case, he gets out of the car and he gets a phone call from Lieutenant Espinoza. Who basically just starts
not happy.
She's not happy with him, and she just starts chewing him out about interfering and using the Secret Service to put pressure on them, and just like, no,
I don't even have a Secret Service anymore.
And like, why, don't reach out to my detectives, Dan. Don't ask them for more information. He's like, they called me. What do you want me to do? Fine. Yep, sure. So everything needs to go through official channels. Fine. Whatever. I don't care. Just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Stop yelling at me. So, and this is where he has the internal dialogue with the reader about the fact that, like, part of the problem is Wilmington, Delaware is, murder capital, and their backlog's so extensive. He's like, she probably just, I don't blame her. Like, she doesn't want to make a simple case more complicated.
Yeah, it's a resources thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a resources thing. So, in any case, he gets back into his house and he gets undressed. Because this is somehow relevant to the story, but that's fine.
Yeah. Oh, he does slam the door on the Secret Service guy who tries to give him his lilies back he left in the car, and he just, bye, Steve. Boom. I'm gonna go take a bath. That's what happened.
I think that's the whole reason that he gets undressed. Like, he's like sad, like just dropping his clothes as he goes to the door kind of thing.
My knee hurts.
Yeah. Takes some aspirin. And then the guy, like, you're like, knock, knock, knock. And he opens the door and they're like, you forgot your flowers. He's like, look, keep them. And he's just like standing there. Like, it's like, it would be like seeing in something else where the person would be drunk already. They'd be like, you just keep the flowers. But in that moment, like he slams the door on that guy, and then there's another knock at the door.
Bum bum bum.
And he opens it, and it's Barack Obama, and he's like, I can't slam the door in Barack Obama's face.
Yeah.
Just not strong enough.
There you go. A mix of the two.
So then Barack's like, look, we need to come in. We need to talk. And he's like, all right, fine. Come in. Sit in the living room. Like,
But Jill can't know, so you gotta leave soon.
I gotta leave soon. But I'm gonna go get something. So he goes up and gets his bathrobe because he's like, I don't have time to figure out Dockers. Like this is too much. This is too difficult. Too difficult. So then after he gets his bathrobe on, and there's a comment about Hugh Hefner. And he ends up snagging a folder out of Steve's hands that he was trying to give to Barack Obama. And apparently somebody has ransacked Finn Donnelly's house.
And they've got photos.
And that's where he found out Finn was not living at the house. He was renting it out and living in a motel near the Amtrak station.
Which, I'll be honest, does not seem like he's going to make more money off of that. He's going to lose a little bit of money. They talk about the fact that, or like with his daughter, he was like, she had said something to the effect of he was trying to pay for in-home care for her, but that was going to be unreasonable. But I don't think he's going to lower his expenses through this one. It's just supposed to be that he can't stand to maybe be at home in the place that's so familiar with that person there.
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So they have the whole discussion, and and Joe decides, well, we should go check out the hotel room. Like, unless you got a better idea. And Barack's like, okay. And so Joe goes up to get dressed, and he comes down in shorts, flip-flops, a Aloha shirt, and a baseball cap that says, "You got bass."
Not how they decided to depict them on the cover, sadly.
No. I wish they did. And it's not a Hawaiian shirt. It's an Aloha shirt.
Yeah.
Aloha
Which
shirt.
I also did not know. And I went, oh, I will now reference them as Aloha shirts.
Right. And so then he has a Phillies hat for Barack.
Because no one will recognize him if he's wearing the hat. Especially not if the two of them are walking around.
Oh, yeah. No. Wouldn't. No.
So, and then Joe talks him not only into the Phillies hat, but into his new muscle car.
Yep.
Which I do imagine is probably the one that we see on the cover.
Yes.
Yes, probably.
Yes. That's my interpretation as well. And then they agree to park the Escalade at the Walmart.
Yep.
Down the street so that Jill won't find out. And after
the most old man thing to do.
Right. Just park it at the back of the Walmart parking lot. It's
fine. Everybody parks their Winnebagos. Nobody will notice.
My wife can't. No.
It's about as far thought out as like any plan that happened, like in a moment happens. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts about different like older crimes and things like that. And this is a lot of people's plans.
Yep. Yeah. So in any case, they drive down to the motel, and then Joe asks Steve to go flash his badge, see if they can look in room 110. And Steve's not so keen on it because that then leaves the two of them without any security.
Yep.
But he finally relinquishes and goes in. And that's when Joe and Barack see a blonde woman trying to break into room 110.
And the first question about the blonde woman is, how do you think she goes to the bathroom? Because she has super duper long hair. Just like, she can't just sit down because it's going to duck in the toilet. But then if she moves it to the side, it's going to hit the ground. It's like, what?
So I'm not going to lie. I want all male conversations about women's appearances to be like this conversation. Nothing actually sexual. Just like, but how does she poop?
That honestly, these are the kind of conversations you can expect from me. Like, I'm not gonna be like, damn, that girl's hot. No, it's gonna be like, I don't know how you walk in those.
It's like, my only question is like the super long hair is like, how many headaches does she get and deal with? Because it's heavy.
And also,
hair
like,
is heavy.
What are you doing? Like, what is your like routine? Because like split ends, my hair would never grow past like here, even at my longest. That was as far as I can get it to go.
Oh no, I had it to like lower mid back. I think was the longest I had mine. But my hair's curly, so it looks shorter than that. But
I used to be able to sit on my hair.
Goodness.
Yeah.
I guess when my hair was its longest, I was straightening it like every single day, and that can't have helped.
Oh yeah, no, you cannot put heat on split ends, especially not those iron straighteners. Oh.
Yeah, no.
Mm-mm.
Anyway, digress. After the conversation about how she deals with her hair, they decide that they need to go investigate because she's breaking in.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So then they break in.
So then they go to break in, and Brock, being the lawyer, is like, well, this is technically illegal. And she's like, even if the door's unlocked? Yeah. But we're private citizens. Still illegal.
Matters. Still
I think that
illegal.
makes it more illegal.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have a certain different, like, you kind of get to skirt other laws a little bit more when you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so at that point, the blonde whips open the door in nothing but a towel with her hair wet, and they get all befuddled and start talking about, oh, we were looking for the pool.
And she's just like, there's a pool here?
I mean, honestly, like, imagine if this was a different book, and so like Mike Pence is one of the people who's having to solve the crime. At that moment, every lead is dead because he just like hightails it out of there. He has to keep 100 feet between him and that lady.
Yep. So they go rushing back down to the car. At which point, Steve comes out and goes, "Okay, I got the key, but we got to make it quick." Well, what about waiting in room 110? There is nobody in room 110. We got bamboozled.
Yeah.
We were bamboozled, obviously.
which is just great because, like, I could see Joe Biden saying, "I got bamboozled," particularly with his no malarkey.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
this malarkey, we got bamboozled.
So they go back up. They go back up to check the room, and Joe finds a mouse, and he's thoroughly impressed at the small size of the mouse.
Yep.
And then they find out that there was something that was removed from the bottom of the chair.
Yeah, the chair was moved. Barack Obama notices it. He notices that the chair was moved because of the depressions in the carpet. While Joe Biden is just looking around the room trying to figure out what thing he can do that he's seen in a crime movie. He's like, there's no notepad, so I can't do the whole like checking it for what was written here last kind of thing.
Yeah.
I didn't bring my fingerprint kit, which we were all given as gifts. Dang it.
So, but what was there has been removed, and all that's left is a faint pink stain at the center.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah.
Cliffhanger.
There's our cliffhanger for this section.
That would be the end of the episode if this were a TV show, and they'll say like, "What
to be continued?
What'll the boys get into next week? Find out next week at 3 p.m."
Don't forget to eat your Obama O's.
Yeah, it would be a cereal ad, and then like a soap ad afterwards.
Part of a healthy breakfast.
Basically. So, okay. Any quick predictions? Because we got to wrap it up.
Nope.
I don't have any predictions for this one. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's holding close to all of the tried and true things from any like noir kind of thing. A little bit of buddy cop stuff. I'm not expecting anything crazy.
Oh yeah, no. It's a little bit too early to predict, but I mean, I definitely pretty sure it's murder. It's murder.
Definitely murder. It's definitely murder. Now, the real question is, did Finn Donnelly, was he in with the wrong crowd or was he trying to stop the wrong crowd?
He wasn't a bad guy. I don't think. They've set him up too sympathetically. I do think though that the guy who was like driving
Grant?
Yeah. The other one.
Alvin?
I think there's something suspicious about him still.
I think he and Grant are in on whatever Finn was trying to stop.
Yeah. And definitely the mayor guy, actually.
I don't think I don't necessarily think he's in on something. At least not right now. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. He knows something, though.
He knows something.
He knows something, but I don't think he was a cog in the mechanism that was bad.
Okay.
That's fair.
But yeah. So, Jessica, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter as JM Bailey Writes.
Stephen, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter as Peppermint Gentleman or Peppermint Gent for short.
And you can find me with the rest of Geek Elite Media at Geek Elite Media and our Facebook page /Geek Elite Media. Archived episodes of this podcast and other podcasts can be found at geekelitemedia.com. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on whatever podcatcher you have. And if you happen to be finding yourself with a couple extra dollars after our very small stimulus checks,
if you got one, if you're a TurboTax person, I'm sorry.
If you got one, please consider donating to our Patreon. It allows us to continue doing podcasts like this. Until next time, this is The Love of Pages, reminding you to keep turning those pages and always remember to
geek out.
Geek out.
Keep up, guys. Come on.